I have been waiting so long for this one. Bloodrayne was created by Terminal Reality and originally came out in 2002, meaning it's nearly 20 years old at this point. I haven't been waiting for a re-release for it for quite that long, even if it does sometimes bloody feel like it. Of all the games I have ever wanted a remake of, this has been at my #1 slot for over a decade. Incidentally, my #2 is Nightmare Creatures. I remember the original being a lot of fun, despite some issues here and there. A weird control and combat system that still somehow managed to be a barrel of laughs. Let's find out if it's just as awesome as I remember. Or if it's, just nostalgia goggles. The game opens in Louisiana, and joy of joys, the whole place is flooded. To be clear, the main character, Rain, is half vampire, and in this universe, to vampires at least, water is like acid. And that's a shitload of water. Yeah, in the original, the water was flat and muddy. Here they've added reflections and extra fog effects. It's quite nice. So if you've never played this before, the left stick controls movement, the right stick controls the camera. So far so normal. Except Rain always faces the direction the camera is pointing in. Even back in the day, this took some getting used to. Combat breaks out pretty quickly, and the best way to describe it would be messy. At least that's how it plays at first, until you get used to it. Rain only looks in the direction of the camera, so you'd think that would severely hamper melee combat. But the original developers have already thought of that. Rain turns to face an enemy when she swings those signature blades of hers, meaning you don't fight with the camera as much as you'd think. Rain has vampire vision, which is shit. I mean, look at it. Before, after. Before, after. Before, after. Shouldn't Rain's vampire vision make it easier to see where you're going, not harder? The original game didn't have great draw distance to begin with. Now it's seriously fucked. Objectives are bright blue and drown out everything else. Otherwise, the visual range is pathetic. One upside for this remake, they've actually removed the god-awful motion blur. Holy shit, it used to flow off of everything every time your head twitched. It's especially annoying because later in the game, there's a cutscene showing vampire vision, and it looks awesome! Look at it! You can clearly see humans show up as bright red. Compare it with what the game actually does.
You dropped something.
Sucks, doesn't it?
Red Lord!
dang it. And I spent so much time rescuing them as well. On the plus side, I can get through the wall now.
Oh, end of the line. What if... Mother of God, what is that?
It's a big blue splotch. Seriously, am I supposed to be able to tell what the fuck this is? Boss fights are fairly easy. They're typically impossible to stun lock and have powerful attacks. Bitch. The trick is to build your blood rage through melee attacks, then unleash it to devastate their health bar. Also, this boss has a particularly wide footprint. It's a bit wider than the length of your blades in places. Good luck getting close enough to her flank to hit her. Act 2 is a German U-boat base in Argentina. And this is where the game goes fucking nuts. The game drops you into an area and asks you to assassinate some high-ranking Nazis. As if we needed telling. Some of them are officers who can block your blade and harpoon attacks. Others are bosses in their own right. But first, there are the soldiers. With guns.
You know what I like? If you stop shooting.
And this is where I have to bring up the shooting system, because for me at least, it's nothing short of utter genius. First, every enemy with a gun, when they die, drops their gun. Rain can add it to her arsenal by touching it. Video game rules. Second, any guns which are better will replace the shittier ones she already has. Third, each gun only has a single clip and is disposable. Meaning the developer had to up the damage to make them worth a damn. And just to add a cherry to the top of this superb sundae, she can fire her two guns at two different targets at the exact same time.
Take cover!
The game has a ridiculously simple combat system. Mash one button to melee, hold the other button to shoot. So it's to the game's credit that it works hard to make the bosses interesting. I take the High Priest in the chapel for instance.
What's the shovel for, Von Blut?
How? Oh, just taking care of a collection from this morning's service. But I might find more uses for it.
I can think of some myself, but they have mostly to do with your backside, preacher.
Enough of your insolence. I will prove Aryan superiority to you.
Ever heard of overcompensation?
That is utterly absurd. And my fake laugh is awful. Did I mention you have a slow motion power? slows things down to an almost unbearable level, especially if you use it for a minute or two at a time, but it can genuinely save your skin.
What are you doing?
What does it look like? I'm lowering the lift.
Turn it off! I can't! Stop the lift, please! You can't do this!
You really should pay more attention to safety. As you know, most accidents in the workplace can be prevented.
She didn't even want the lift. You can't even get in it.
Wow, that was unexpected. What happened here? Hello? Nazis want to come out and play? Come on now. I promise I'll fight. Off me.
And it's gone all horror movie on me. Up until now, the sub-base has been fairly straightforward. This is the sudden curveball that flipped your expectations. There are some nasty mutations down below the base as well. Again, blood rage serves you well against them.
Now what the hell is that?
Finally, it's off to Act 3 with the castle in Germany. Lots of soldiers, lots of vampire troops to carve through. Most are fairly easy, but don't get complacent. Parts of the castle can be a bit of a maze as well. Oh, and the spiral staircases. Oh! Rain moves at the speed of a stung leopard, but the camera rotates with the speed of an arthritic hedgehog. In open areas, not so much of an issue, but in very tight quarters, like here, you can end up arriving before you can see where you're headed. Also, did I mention you can drive a mech? And once you've finished with it, drive the mech straight on over to the altar. Otherwise you just end up driving around very slowly, very pointlessly. Into the closing moment, and it's here, bunched up right at the end, where you find the 3 most annoying moments in the entire game. Thanks. The first moment is the windmill fight. This particular vampire replicates if you cut him in half. Attacking him actually makes things worse. The only way to beat him is to destroy the supports around the outside of the room, eventually dunking him in the water at the bottom. How are you supposed to guess to do this? Unless you and the enemy both destroy all of the supports purely by accident, which is how I figured it out, eventually, back in the day, you'd never know to do this. The second moment comes immediately after the windmill fight. Has sapped all your health. You're dropped into a minefield with 2 elite riflemen sat up in a tower and a foxhole at the opposite end of the area full of rocket launching arseholes blocking your path. After the windmill fight has sapped all your health. Fuck! The only upside is every time you die and respawn here, your health bar starts a little higher than the previous time. Maybe the designers realised the scale of the shitstorm they were throwing you into. The third moment of the game is Rain versus Wolf versus Beliar. Oh god! Wolf is fairly easy, so long as he doesn't pick up a rocket launcher. Or you don't get in front of him. Stay behind him, keep blood raging him, and he's easy. It's Beliar that's the bitch. Beliar probably has the smallest health bar in the entire game. I'm not joking. What is a joke is the way his body is impervious to attack. His only weak point is his heart. His heart is out of range of your blades. Your guns can lock onto the heart, but his body keeps moving, making hitting the heart mostly impossible. And of course, Beliar keeps growing in size. Let him get too big for the room and he insta-kills you in a cutscene. Okay, my advice for this section, grab the rocket launchers straight away. That way Wolf can't use them. Fire the rockets at Beliar. Then run around, grab the grenades off the ground and throw those at Beliar as well. Don't wait till later, because then the grenade explosions won't be able to hit Beliar's heart as he gets higher. All of those explosions should strip off about 50% of his health. Then you just lay into Wolf with Blood Rage. Strangely, once you've killed him, the game then allows you to save. From then on, you just have to hope you can land enough gunshots to Beliar's heart before he has one adolescent growth spurt too many. Or you could just hope he stands still like a total plonker and lets you rip his health gauge to shreds. Job done. Is it just like I remember? Yes, it is. Well, almost. There is one thing missing. Well, several things. The cheat codes. Specifically, any cheat code that gives you an advantage. Apparently they were patched out post-launch so people couldn't cheat through the trophies. I mean, why? The original didn't have trophies. This remake doesn't have a platinum. And most other games, when you activate a cheat of some kind, they just turn the trophies off. Why didn't they just do that? I wouldn't mind half as much, but the remake from a while back on the PC, the Terminal Cut, that has all the cheat codes intact apparently. Apart from the HD cut of Paint, plus most of the cheats not working, it's exactly as I remember. Just as fun, just as frantic, just as flawed, and yes, just as frustrating. I love it. The wait's been excruciating, but I love it. Now if someone could just get round to doing Nightmare Creatures.